controlling your mind so that your mind doesn't control you. We've all known someone, or been someone, or are someone that has lost control of their mind, has lost control of the direction in life that they are going. They have lost control or misused their dopamine. And doing that can be devastating. It can destroy your life or even kill you. You may have known someone who has died from an addiction to dopamine, ultimately, some drugs or um, various other things. Sugar, diabetes is one of the number one killers in America. The scary thing is that most of the time, people don't even realize that it's happening until it's too late. A lot of people don't realize the risks of eating some. They know generally that it's probably not a good idea to eat too much sugar, but they don't know where they are necessarily in their health. You know, how close they might be to diabetes until they start suffering the consequences. They go to the doctor, and the doctor says, "Yeah, you got diabetes. So now we're going to have to cut your legs off," or something. You know, the consequences of losing control of your mind, the consequences of allowing your mind to control you can be grave, literally and figuratively. It can be devastating to your life or life ending. It can kill you to lose control of your mind. And that's what we're going to talk about today, controlling your mind. Some other examples are games. As I've talked about in my first two videos, video games and the dopamine that they give you, the low effort, low value dopamine that you get from video games can be very addicting. And losing control of your mind to these video games can be devastating to your life. I wasted so much time playing video games. Porn, infidelity, sex addiction. These are more examples of something that people lose control over their minds and get lost in and ruin their lives. One day you wake up and your wife has left. She packed her bags and left because she found out about the infidelity. Another example would be gambling. People get lost in gambling. They lose control of their mind over their dopamine. Over their dopamine, they lose control and they lose their money. One day they wake up with an empty bank account and hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt. I myself personally have been addicted to a few of these things, but I have escaped. I have gotten out of these addictions, and I know that others can too. I know that you can too. Obviously, the first step is self-reflection and realizing maybe where in life you are wasting your time or you're misusing your dopamine. You can't change your life without first changing your thoughts and your perceptions about life. I want to help you do the same thing that I did by changing my mindset. I want to help you change your mindset. I want to introduce you to or talk about a philosophy that has been embraced by some of the most powerful and most influential men throughout history. That philosophy is called Stoicism. And that is the topic of today's video. Now, I'm not going to go into great detail. I'm not going to delve too deeply into Stoicism in this video. I really just want to talk about a few specific Stoic principles that have been instrumental in my life and in changing my mindset and thought process about life, my thought processes. The first of these principles is controlling what you can and accepting what you cannot. It seems simple and maybe even obvious, but most people don't live their lives in this way. Most people experience life in an unconscious and unintentional way. And this simple mindset shift can allow you to change that. It can allow you to live your life more consciously and more intentionally. The famous Stoic Epictetus said it best. The chief task in life is simply this: to identify and separate matters so that I can say clearly to myself which are externals not under my control and which have to do with the choices I actually control. A great example of this is the past and the future. You cannot change the past, and there is little to no value in lamenting over it. I shouldn't beat myself up and be so hard on myself for wasting so much time playing video games, because that, just like the video games, is a waste of time. I simply need to focus on the future, on being more productive, on controlling my mind and controlling the sources of dopamine that my mind gets. Another example would be that we don't control how others perceive us. We cannot control how others perceive us. And instead of getting upset that someone perceives us negatively, we should simply work on our own perception of ourselves. If we agree with them and we are upset by this and we have control over this, then we can change this. We can change whatever it is that we want to in our own lives. We may not be able to change the perceptions of others, of us, ourselves, but we can control our perceptions of ourselves. Unconscious people tend to focus on things that are out of their control. If you catch yourself doing that, simply shift your attention from the things that you cannot control to the things that you can control, and you will find yourself much happier, much more confident, and much more hopeful in life. To quote another famous Stoic from history, Seneca, how does it help to make troubles heavier by bemoaning them? Or in other words, there is no value in complaining. There is no value in moping around and lamenting over the past and your mistakes. There is only value in recognition of the mistake and progress toward and in the future. That was the first principle, the first Stoic principle that we're talking about today in this video. The second, let's move on to the second. The second principle, the second Stoic principle that we're going to be talking about today is to do things for others through empathy and virtue instead of selfishness and greed. To give an example of this and to tie in one of the things that we've been talking about in all of these videos, exercise. You could exercise for yourself. You could exercise out of greed, out of the effect that it will have on the perceptions of others toward you, because you want more of that for yourself. You want to look better for yourself. Or you could exercise the same action for a different reason, for empathy and for virtue, for others. They say you are the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. So you're one of those people in that circle, affecting the averages of those that you spend the most time with. If you exercise, if you become healthier, more motivated, more disciplined, then you will help those around you, those closest to you, to do the same. If you exercise to not only be healthier, but to inspire others to do so as well, this is a much more motivating reason to do so. And that is why this is the second Stoic principle that we're going to be talking about today. It's an extremely important shift in mindset to do things instead of for yourself, for others, through empathy and virtue. To quote another great Stoic from history, arguably one of the greatest, Marcus Aurelius, "A human being is formed by nature to benefit others. And when he has performed some benevolent action or accomplished anything else that contributes to the good of the whole, he has done what he was constituted for and has what is properly his." Another example on how to implement this Stoic principle in your life is to simply think. Does this action that I am about to take help others, or does it hurt them? Does it not affect them at all? You should decide. You should choose your actions based on this principle and this thinking. Thinking, does it help people? Will it help people? If you are exercising and you are healthier, that will mean that you are sick less. And if you are sick less, you will be able to spend more time with those closest to you, loved ones, family members, friends. You will be able to be there for them more. You will be stronger for them both physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, all the way around. A much better person if you shift your mindset in this way. If you implement this Stoic principle in your life, it will improve it. That's it for the second Stoic principle of the video, and it's on to the third and final Stoic principle that we're going to be talking about today in this video. Arguably the most important. I saved the best for last. This Stoic principle that I'm referring to is memento mori, which is Latin for remember death. To quote Marcus Aurelius again, you could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do, say, and think. Essentially, the idea is to make yourself aware, to remind yourself to always remember, never forget that you are going to die. You are a dying animal right now. If tragedy does not take you, if losing control of your mind does not take you, eventually time will. It is inevitable. And understanding that and remembering it and living in a way that accepts this reality is a much better way to live. It allows you to have more gratitude in each and every moment of your life. Have you ever had a near-death experience, or have you ever known someone who has had a near-death experience? They're gifts. They're gifts. That's the way to look at it. And I imagine a lot of people fall into thinking about it as a tragedy. Oh no, this happened to me. This happened to me. Now I'm gonna curl up in a ball in the fetal position in my bed and stay there forever so that nothing bad ever happens to me again. That is no way to live life. When they have a near-death experience, it can be life-changing. It can open their eyes to how ungrateful they've been and how grateful they need to be, because life is short and precious. You need to hold closely, hold dearly your loved ones, because you or them could die any day now. It happens every day, all the time. Tragedy strikes us all. Imagine you only had 1 year to live. How would that change your behavior? That is essentially the idea of this Stoic principle, is to think in that way. To think, what if I die in a year? What if I am diagnosed with terminal cancer and I have X amount of days to live? How would you live differently with that knowledge? How would you live differently knowing that you only had a limited amount of time left? Well, you do. You only have a limited amount of time left. And again, that might seem simple and obvious, but most people do not live their lives in this way. That is why this is the third, final, and most important Stoic principle that I'm going to talk about today. One that, if you implement in your life, will ultimately improve your life by simply acting as if those things are true. And they probably aren't, right? But you don't know. I don't know. We don't know. This is the uncertainty that comes with life. We don't know when it's going to end. You could get hit by a car. You could contract some horrible disease. You could get hit by a meteor from space. Anything can happen. And we should live in a way that embraces that as a part of reality that makes it beautiful, a part of reality that helps us really appreciate the moments that we do have with our loved ones. Perhaps if I had lived in this way, I would not have wasted so much time playing video games on such a trivial, wasteful source of dopamine. So, to wrap up and summarize this video, the gist is to live a more intentional life. It takes practice, yeah, but eventually you will learn to stop and to think before acting. or to stop a behavior in its tracks by realizing it won't help you or those around you especially. Really boils down to just stopping and thinking. 1, can I control this? 2, does this help others? And 3, memento mori. Remember, you are going to die. Is the decision that I'm about to make, are the actions that I'm about to take, do they matter in the grand scheme of things? Does it matter with those thoughts in mind? Does it matter when you remember that you are going to die, and it could be tomorrow, and it could be in your bed at the age of 100 years old? All right, that's the end of this video. Thanks for watching. My name is William. If you enjoy this content, please like and subscribe, and I will be coming out with another video tomorrow and every day from here on out for the foreseeable future. Okay, have a good day. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.